So we are being joined today by Mr. Ravindra Sharma, who is Assistant Professor in Himalayan School of Management Studies of Swami Ram Himalayan University, Dehradun. He has 14 years of academic and industry experience and has degrees of MBA and MCA. He is also credited with over 7 papers which have been published in referred index journals in Emerald, Sage, Springer, and IGI Global. He also presented several research papers in national and international conferences. Mr. Sharma has contributed chapters in 4 different books published by Springer, Taylor and Francis, and Palgrave Macmillan. His area of interest are management information system, information technology, project management, entrepreneurship, and international business. He has been honored as a session chair in 4 international conferences which were organized by various universities. He has also received the award of the Best Team of the Year given by GWAKey EMRI UK. We welcome you, sir, to this session. And I'll now like to invite Professor Pavnesh Kumar. Sir, over to you.
Uh, Thank you, Siddharth. And indeed, it is a matter of pleasure that all the sessions are coordinated by our research scholars. And we have given opportunity to the research scholars. They are coordinating all the events because this is a capacity building program which is basically organized by the Department of Management Studies. So we have involved. You might have seen that all the programs, all the sessions are now coordinated by our research scholars, Siddharth Ghosh and Chandan Meer. So they are also getting exposure because research scholars are professors in waiting. So they are also learning something, how to coordinate and how to conduct the sessions and all that. So we have involved least of our faculty members. One day we have kept a session for the interaction with you all. We will spend 1 hour with all the participants. We will take the feedback so that if any grievances are there, if any constructive suggestions are there, we can incorporate it in the further. If we plan for the same type of program next year, we will definitely incorporate the suggestions. So at the outset, friends, very warm good morning to all of you. I will like to, it is a matter of great pleasure to invite Mr. Dr. Ravindra Sharma, who I have not been in contact with Mr. Dr. Ravindra Sharma. I have gone through his profile. Friends, the speakers to whom we have invited, we have seen their Google profile, Google Scholar profile. We have gone through their CV and we have contacted them. Even though we don't know them, we have not met. We know each other only during the lockdown period, but we have tried to accommodate those speakers who are doing wonders in their field through Facebook and through by going through their profile on the Google. So one of that speaker is Dr. Ravindra Sharma. I was very much impressed by his CV. Curriculum vitae, that he has published so many papers. He has a good exposure in the management area. He has guided my research scholars also in publishing the papers. So I thought that he must be invited because he is so friendly to the faculty members and research scholars. So welcome you, Dr. Ravindra Sharma. And indeed, it is a matter of pleasure that somebody from the Devbhoomi, Uttarakhand, virtually he is associated with us today. So not only your blessings but the blessings from Uttarakhand will also come and shower on our participants. So welcome you all, and I also extend my warm welcome to the participants who has joined us for the 2 week capacity building program. And I am very much happy that there is good number of participants who are participating. Although it is 9:30, it is too early, but they have joined. So I hope that in the next 1 hour and 15 minutes you will enjoy your lecture with Dr. Ravindra Sharma, and I hope that because Dr. Ravindra Sharma is now associated with us, we will try to associate him in the future programs and events also. So welcome you all, and once again, very good morning to all of you. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I like to invite the chairperson for this session. Sir, if you can go ahead with your presentation and lecture, sir.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much, Siddharth, for the introduction. First of all, very thanks to Professor Pawanesh Kumar, Dean Management, uh, for a warm introduction of mine. I will not waste your time for taking a theoretical part of this plagiarism. The strategy of this session will be we will just touch the basic understanding of plagiarism, and then after we'll only talk about the softwares which we are using for plagiarism purpose. When we'll talk about this plagiarism, we will try to understand when we select or we choose a plagiarism, anti-plagiarism software for your paper checking, what are the things which you have to consider in mind. Apart from that, we will also discuss what are the free plagiarism softwares are available online, and what are the paid software which you can consider for your research endeavor. So I am going to start with a presentation, and once that presentation will be over, then we will do some hands-on on very good plagiarism software that is called Turnitin, and I will try to share different basically techniques, different basically settings, different basically options available in Turnitin, which can be useful for you as a researcher in your different research related endeavor. So without wasting a time, I'm going to start my presentation. Siddharth, my this PPT is visible to all of you? Siddharth?
Yes, sir. Your presentation is visible, sir.
Okay, okay. So just wait. So as you all are aware that nowadays, since this research is come on the platform of digital platform, the relevance of these plagiarism softwares are very much in our field of research. If you talk about the theoretical part, we can spend hours to discuss what is plagiarism, what are the types of plagiarisms, how it affected. But my focus will be, because time is very limited, we will try to only focus on a software part of this plagiarism. We will not touch ethical issues and all other important aspects related to plagiarism. Just I will use 2 or 3 slides to give you a basic understanding of plagiarism. So I'll start with my presentation with a definition or basic understanding of plagiarism. As it is written over here, plagiarism is presenting someone else's work or idea as your own, with or without their consent, by incorporating it into your work without full acknowledgement. All published and unpublished material, whether in manuscript, printed, or electronic form, is covered under this definition. Plagiarism may be intentional or reckless or unintentional. Under the regulation for examination, intentional or reckless plagiarism is a disciplinary offense. So in basically, if you talk about the in a layman language, we can say any stealing work, basically anything which is still related to research work or written work, it will become under the category of plagiarism. किसी भी तरह की जो चोरी है, basically idea की चोरी, concept की चोरी, that will become under the category of plagiarism. Though there are so many classifications you will found in internet related to plagiarism, but there are few important points or types of plagiarisms we have encountered in our daily research related activity. Like that, first is verbatim, word for word quotation without clear acknowledgement. It means if you are writing a research paper or chapter or thesis, you are quoting some one words, but you are not acknowledging it, you are not citing it. So it is a kind of basically it will come under the category of plagiarism. A direct plagiarism means you are not doing anything, just copying the same content in your research. That will be a direct plagiarism. And it is a very easy way to steal someone work. Just copy, don't put any efforts, just copy it and use in your own research. Paraphrasing, it is a little bit smart kind of plagiarism, you can say. What you are doing, you are not doing anything innovative. What you are doing, just seeing someone else content and just reframing it, rewriting it. Such kind of plagiarism is called a paraphrasing. And believe me, nowadays there are software which even can find a paraphrasing also. If you are trying to rewriting the a concept of someone else, idea of someone else, and trying to put your own, then even you can caught. So it is also a very easy way by which you can projecting your own work on by stealing someone else's work. So it is a kind of plagiarism. The another one is use of material written by professional agencies or other persons. Nowadays, what people are doing, they are hiring a ghostwriter. And what those ghostwriters are doing, they are writing papers or research chapters, research papers or chapters, or even in thesis for someone else. And such kind of act, if it such kind of act reveal, then it will also become under the category of plagiarism. So ghostwriting is also a kind of plagiarism, where someone else is writing a paper for money or for against some other benefits. So it is a kind of plagiarism. The another kind of plagiarism is a self-plagiarism. In self-plagiarism, what is happening? Suppose you have published one research paper, and that research paper is already published. And what you are doing, the findings of that research paper, the methodology of that research paper, the review of literature of that research paper, you are using the part of that published research paper of your own in your another research paper. So such kind of plagiarism come under the category of self-plagiarism. And the last category which I have mentioned is over here is a music plagiarism, in which what you are doing, you are just cutting a little small content from a different papers or different sources and compiling them and projecting that it is your own work. So such such act is also come under the category of plagiarism. Apart from that, there are so many other kind of plagiarism exist. And as I told you, my focus will be only discuss about the software part of this plagiarism. So in next slides, I have explained that when you choose a plagiarism software for your paper or any research related content which you want to scan, basically you have to consider these important points. Like agar hum, just for example, if you go for buying a laptop or desktop, so there are certain features you will seek. Or if you will go for a mobile phone buying, you will see its processor, you will see its RAM, you will also see its camera if you talk about the mobile phone or even laptop. So in every when we choose some software, there are certain features which make it with another softwares. So if you talk about this plagiarism software, there are certain features which make one software effective or another software less effective. So the first feature which you have to basically consider while choosing any plagiarism software is a security. Security means it means when you generally a research scholar go for free plagiarism softwares. And what happen when you go for free plagiarism softwares? There are certain hidden conditions, and knowingly or unknowingly you click on accept button, and the moment you click on accept button, you accepted all their terms and conditions. And there are certain free plagiarism softwares even I have seen, where there are basically condition that they can use your content after 6 months, after 7 months, for their business or commercial purpose. So this only line can make you in basically a trouble. And apart from that, there are cases in because I am also editing many books for international publisher like Taylor and Francis and Nova. I have seen that authors reported that they have used their content for flag check in a free softwares, and they found that after certain times their flag percentage increases. So what happened to that content basically? Actually, when you use these free kind of plagiarism softwares, sometime the content is being stealed by these websites, or there are some boots basically which are basically steal your content and use somewhere else research. So you have to be very careful. Don't go for a free software blindly. First check its review, first check is a reputation, and then choose appropriate free software for your research work. Because if you're not careful about this, then because you spend a lot of months to write a paper or book chapters or even a thesis part, and you after doing such big efforts, by little mistakes or little carelessness, your data can be basically misused by someone else. So it is an important point, and most importantly, you have to consider it anyhow. The next thing when you talk about the plagiarism software is a multiple file formats. Different plagiarism software provide different formats for your content. The if you talk about researcher, for researcher, what I feel, my experience is the PDF file and Word files are the most generally used file formats for scanning purpose or plaque scanning purpose. There are other formats like Excel, PowerPoints, and even a TIFF formats also, which is being provided by this plagiarism software to scan your data. So before buying or before going any plagiarism software, you have to consider this point also. This is also a very important figure of any plagiarism software. The next is a very important aspect is a comprehensive plagiarism report. So generally, when you check your content with the free plagiarism softwares available in internet, they only give you a percentage, nothing else they will provide, like 70%, 20%, 18%. But they will not give you further details from where the content where is the basically content is used in your research, which showing a flag. So there are so many different dimensions which is required when your data come under the plagiarisms. So you have to think what kind of report that plagiarism software is providing you. That is also very important. The fourth important features which play a vital role is a language support. Though if you talk about research nowadays, about 90% research work is being conducted in a language English. So But there are research scholars who are doing research in different languages like Hindi, Tamil, and other languages. So you have to find whether these plagiarism softwares are supporting these languages or not. Like Orkut and Turnitin are the plagiarism software, though these are the basically not free software, but these softwares support multiple languages. So for your research, you have to consider this point also, that how many languages a particular plagiarism software is supporting. The another important point, if you are buying a plagiarism software for your institutions, for your university, or for your college, you have to also consider whether that software can be integrated with your learning management system, LMS, or not. If you talk about the Turnitin, if you talk about the Orkut, these are the software which are easily integrated with your existing learning management systems. Specifically, if you talk about the Turnitin, it is a very vast software which provide multiple options with the integration of your existing learning management system. The another important aspects which you have to basically consider while looking for a plagiarism software is uploading methods. You will find most of the free plagiarism softwares, they are basically providing a facility to cut, copy, and paste facility. Just paste your content and they will scan. There are another softwares which provide uploading facility through basically Google Drive, through Dropbox, or from your local hard disk. So these are the uploading methods, and you have to find, and this is also a way by which you can check the reliability of a plagiarism software. For example, if you are looking for a software for plag, and certainly when a student, basically research scholar, they are obviously look for a free plagiarism software if their student institution is not providing them a purchased one. And remember, the websites which are providing a facility of cut and paste, that is a more vulnerable websites. Your data can be easily still if basically such kind of facility is being provided by a plagiarism software, online plagiarism softwares. If you'll see most of the purchase software, they don't basically provide you a option of cut and paste option, copy and paste options for data scanning. They ask for uploading your file, irrespective of your file, different file options. So always remember, avoid those websites which are providing basically option of copy and paste option basically. Next is scan limit. When you look for basically a free plagiarism softwares, you will find that there are certain limits of words, like 1,000 words to 10,000 words, limits of page, 10 pages to 20 pages. So you have to look the basically software, what is your requirement, and what are these free software are providing. Because unless until you will not choose appropriate free software even, then you waste your lot of time to just scanning your data in a basically in a parts basically. So you just select choose a software which provide a higher limit, basically higher scanning limit. Our next important thing is a sign up required or not. So there are certain softwares which provide a sign up facility. Unless and until you will sign up, you will not able to basically scan your content. And there are certain websites which don't require sign up, and directly you open it, explore the website, and scan your content. So you have to also look these features of a plagiarism softwares. These are the 8 important features, and on the basis of these 8 important features, you can select your plagiarism software for your research content scanning. The next important thing is there are few anti-plagiarism software which I have mentioned over here, and it is not a very basically a typical task. If you explore a free plagiarism software, you will find a list and number of softwares which basically provide these services. But these are few which are considered safer software for free anti-plagiarism softwares. Number one is a Dupli checkers. The another one is a plagiarism checker, paper ratter, copy leak, Viper, plague tracker, and white smoke. If you talk about the Viper is one of the consider a good free software which you can use safely for your content scanning for plagiarism purpose. And rest of these free software are also considered. I will not guarantee you that these are the safer, but these are the popular one which basically people use for their research content related scanning. So you can use it if you are not having a commercial software available with you. The next is a few paid anti-plagiarism softwares. You see, there are 2 types of research basically student conduct. One is your thesis. Those who are a research scholar doing a PhD, their thesis play a very important role in their career. So my advice will be always never go for a free software for checking your plagiarism for your thesis. Always use a purchased one plagiarism software for your thesis. I will tell you the reasons behind it when we'll discuss a few cases. So just it is a tips basically. Never use your thesis, complete thesis with for plagiarism checking with free plagiarism softwares. Choose any software out of these 4 basically. Turnitin, very famous software. It is American software basically built by American company. Urkund is popular nowadays because UGC is also providing these software for content scanning. For government university, it is free of cost. There are ways by which you can access Urkund facility. I will also discuss it in detail. The another software which you can use is a Copy Scan and Plague Scan. These are also paying softwares, paying anti-plagiarism softwares, which you can use for scanning your content for checking plagiarism. Next is basically what I will do. I will discuss these cases once I will basically take a hands-on on Turnitin. Then I will discuss cases how plagiarism is sometimes create a mess for a user, basically make a user in a trouble. Even अच्छे आप चेक कर रहे हैं प्लेगरिज्म और पता लगा कि आप किसी दिक्कत में पड़ गए. So I will tell you the cases where little carelessness of a user make that author or user in a trouble to overcome that particular problem. So we will also do that thing. This is we will also discuss. This is one of the basically part of the topic, Urkund. It is nowadays in India very many universities are using Urkund because it is also being recommended by basically UGC and associated agencies. So Orkund is and this now the slides are from Orkund itself, and I have copied these slides from Orkund, and they have very nicely explained about themselves, what they are, how they are using these plagiarisms facilities, plagiarism softwares. So as it is mentioned over, Orkund says they are Swedish company founded in 2000 and located in Stockholm, Sweden. And about this is about it started with 20 employees from countries all over the world within an average age of 34 years. One of the important thing is the professionals who are working in these technology fields. They are in a age between 35 to 45. They are youngster and very innovative. That's why every day you will find a refined basically a mechanism to scan your data, flag data. This is the Orkund story. I am skipping it. It is not of our use. It is one of the, as Orkund mentioned, that they are #1 plagiarism prevention and detection software in the Nordic market and second in the world. Certainly, it is one of the best. I will not go for its ranking, but you can, if you are using it, you are 100% secure. Your content is 100% secure, and the results are also 100% secure. So you can consider this, and this is a cloud-based solution. Basically, you no need to install the software in your system. Just you have to take a subscription, and they will provide you username and login ID, and you just start scanning your data. Why it is also mentioned by the Orkund, why we are required plagiarisms checking nowadays, legal problem. Certainly now plagiarism is come under the legal issues. So that's why you have to check your contents to just save you from a legal related issues. Academic integrity, the another way reasons why you are using a plagiarism software are academic is built on the tradition of intellectual honesty. Plagiarism risks breaking this trust and poses a basic threat to academic integrity and love. Because if you are using plagiarism, you are sending that paper for public publications and they got it, then not only your integrity is questioned, but your institutions are also questioning, because it is a matter of a quality of a research. So you should be very careful about this. Certainly knowledge, if you are using someone else, then it means you are not adding something new in the area of knowledge in a respective field. So it is very important that the content should be plagiarism free and content should be novel. And one important thing I also want to mention over here, any plagiarism software which you are using, or even using by basically editors, or if you are conducting any conference and you are scanning a papers, it doesn't mean that if the content is a plag free, then it is a novel content. Maybe a researcher having a skill of, he is having a very good basically writing skill, he is basically good in that particular language, and but it may be the content should be it may be a useless. Plag is showing 5%, the content is the validity and reliability and the relevance of content is 0. So always remember that don't rely only the percentage of plag in a content. You have to read the content. If you are an editor, if you are organizing a conference and you are selecting a paper, so don't only rely on basically a plagiarism report. That is also very important nowadays. There are also softwares which are basically using a AI kind of things and remove your flag within a minutes, but content becoming useless, it becoming garbage. So never, it is one of the criteria to check the originality of content, but it is not only the criteria of the quality of the your research work. So my advice is, if because this is a mixed crowd from across the India, some of you will be editors, some of you will be students, research scholars, and some of you in your respective colleges or universities also organizing conferences. So always again I will advise, read the content and understand the contents, and just try to fetch whether that the written content is appropriate or not. Flag report is not only the criteria of the quality of any research paper, book chapters, or even any kind of research work. Working environment is another basically issues because these software are not only used for checking class, it is also used for managing assignment of students. So there are certain issues we will discuss. It is not a part of this basically presentation, that's why I'm skipping it. Why plagiarism checker? I'm skipping it. Otherwise, it will consume a lot of time. Though I will share this PowerPoint presentation with all of you. You can basically use it. If you will feel any problem, you may contact me through mail or through your respective organizers. So when we talk about, if we talk about the mechanism of checking your content through these plagiarism software, so there are basically important three sources where your content is being scanned and matched, basically whether you copied your content from those sources or not. The first is internet. The meaning of internet is web pages. There are millions of web pages in internet, and when you uploaded your basically paper on these software, so immediately these software anti-plagiarism software search the content in web pages and try to match whether the content you have uploaded is matching with some web page or not. So if it will mention in some web page, then it will show a flag, otherwise it will not. The another one important source where these contents are being scanned or matched are the published material. So there are so many databases like Scopus, Abesco, and Emerald, and there are n number of databases, or a publisher own basically databases where your content is being matched or checked whether it's belong to a published content or not. The another source where your data is being checked is a student material. Student material means because these software are also being used by various institutions for class management, their assignment management. And when student upload an assignment, it is being stored in a repository of that particular anti-plagiarism softwares. So these softwares, while scanning your content, or also match your content with these student materials. So these are the three important sources which are being used for checking the originality of your software content, basically. And as I told you, most of these anti-plagiarism softwares are only matching the content, basically. It is not matching the quality of your content, just they are matching whether the content is same or not. So if you talk about the Urkud is, as I told you, it is one of the good anti-plagiarism softwares. And in India, there is a autonomous organization which is called Information and Library Network Center, Gandhinagar. And this center is basically an autonomous body which manages the Urkut. And if you are having if you belongs to a government university or institutions, so there is a mechanism, there is a process by which you can avail a free access of these basically software Urkut. And nowadays, I have seen that various institutions are using these free services for their students or faculties for their research related content scanning. So I have mentioned over here how to create university coordinator account in Urkut. Means if you are you belongs to any government institutions or university, and then what you can do, you have to basically send mail to support@eclectic.in and mentioning your all the credentials want to make a coordinator, name of the university, state, name of the person, and all the details. You will send this mail to this mention email ID, and also copy to shodhganga@infilnet.ac.in. Then certainly after asking few queries, they will provide you access of free scanning facility, and your student can upload, and you will have the coordinator will have a access of that software. They can scan, and then they can share a scan report with their students. So these are the basically some information I have also mentioned over here, which you can use if you belongs to a government university. You can use this information for creating your free Urkut account and start scanning of your data. Turnitin, if personally, I will basically recommend that Turnitin is one of the best anti-plagiarism softwares which are using by renowned universities, and it is spread all over most of the countries. It is spreaded, and the report generated by Turnitin is one of the comprehensive report I have seen. Though I have used different anti-plagiarism softwares related to my research activities, but I have found Turnitin reports most comprehensive. And most important thing is because whoever has joined over here, they are writing a paper, they are also writing a book chapters, and other they are also guiding students, and research scholars are also here who are working on their thesis. What I have seen, the report generated by Turnitin is being accepted by most of the publishers, most of the universities. So you can say it is a I'll say it is a global software which you can use without thinking much. It is most secure, it is most acceptable software, anti-plagiarism softwares which are being used by researchers across the world. So Turnitin, this is a little bit information about the Turnitin. Turnitin is an internet-based plagiarism detection service run by the American company, founded in 1998. Very important thing about the Turnitin, it does not offer individual license. If you want to use a Turnitin, you have to buy an institutional license. So then what you have to do, they have their another option. They provided Authenticate, an alternative service which allow user to purchase credit for similarity check. But my advice is, if you are a research scholar, especially for A category, B category, or C category journal, try to find some person who is working in an institution where is Turnitin being purchased, and request him to scan your paper, because it is the most secure and it generate accurate report. For example, I am having a Turnitin access. If any one of you required any plague related basically report, you may contact me, because these are the resources which we must share with others also, so that the search field should be sustained. So you can also basically take my services free of cost anytime. You just send me a mail. I will try to provide you plagiarism report as soon as possible. So these, as I told you, this Authenticate is basically a purchase version, and it is basically a part of a Turnitin, which is being used by individual user. It per month basically access cost is $100, and I also know these are the very expensive softwares. So better you just search someone who can basically helps you to scan your content free of cost, because for a student it is very difficult to spend that much money. Now, after I'll give you some tips, and then after we'll go for a hands-on. These are the tips which basically I have written over here on the basis of my own experiences. So, and I assure you, if you'll follow these tips, you will be easily handle any anti-plagiarism softwares, and the content will also be secure. The number one tip which you have to consider is never save your content in a plagiarism software, anti-plagiarism softwares. For example, you are scanning your content in Turnitin or Urkut. So there are options. If you click that option unknowingly, then your content will be stored in their repository. And if you send that paper, your research paper or chapter to your editor, they will check a plagiarism in their software. They will find a plagiarism in your content, because it is saved in a repository. So always remember, whether you are using a free software or you are using a purchase software, never save it. Never save it. And you must be aware about the settings also. So if you are using a purchased one, then very carefully see the settings and uncheck the settings if it is saying the content will be saved in a repository. The next important thing about these anti-plagiarism softwares is a set source exclusion threshold at word count 14 words. It is little bit tricky basically, and free anti-plagiarism softwares are not providing these settings. But if you are using a Turnitin or you are using a Urkut or any other purchase softwares, so there is a one setting which what it says basically 14 words means if your content is matching with some source or some basically paper, if the number of words are less than 13, so it will not come under the scanning of basically a plagiarism. If it is 14, then it will show. If the number of words are 14, then it will show there is a plag, and it will also show the source of a plag. So sometime what happen basically, very smart researcher or user, what they does basically, they increases the limit. They make it 20, they make it 25. So under 14, if your plag percentage is basically 20%, and if you make this setting 28 words, it will be reduced to a 10%. But internationally, standards, you will see 14 words are standards. If you see universities, if you see the publishers, they check your content on 14 words threshold limit. So for example, you are paying someone to check your data, or you are hiring some experts to remove flag from your content. So what they does basically, they increases this word threshold limit. So actually the flag is 20%. Increasing that limit to a 28 words threshold, it will show a 10% flag. So it is a very tricky thing. You have to be aware about this concept. And how you will come to know? When you will see your flag report, no, in footer, no, it will say, it will be mentioned over here, a threshold limit, 14 words, 20 words, 25 words. So you should be extra careful about this point. Next is including all search options, student paper repository, current archived internet, periodicals, journals, and publications. When you are checking your content in through these plagiarism softwares, specifically purchased ones, so they are showing the options where you want to basically match your content. So if you exclude journals or periodicals, internet, it will only check a flag in student paper. It will show a 10% flag. The moment you will click basically internet, maybe it will show a 20% flag. The moment you will also check journals and publication, it will show a 25% flags, because the database is increasing the moment you are selecting more options. So always remember, when you basically check your content through this anti-plagiarism software, you have to click on all the options. Then only you can generate a accurate result related to your content. Fourth important point, which I have mentioned over here, avoid free plagiarism softwares. There is always security issues with these free plagiarism softwares. And if you are using this free plagiarism software, never upload your entire content. Break your contents in paragraphs and then check with different, you can also use a different free softwares. Never upload a full paper. You may be in troubles. Someone can steal your data or your content. So avoid free plagiarism support, and never use your thesis, your complete paper, with these free plagiarism support. Always go for a purchased one. Use reference management software to avoid plagiarism in references like that, such that Mendeley and not Jotaro, cite this for me, etc. Sometimes what happen when you copy, and this is a general phenomena in research, basically, now you don't bother to write all the citation references manually. Basically, what you does, basically, you just copy a reference from someone paper, though you are reading the paper, but you will not bother, you don't want to waste your time to basically write a reference yourselves, because it is a tricky one, and there are so many basically ways by which you can write references. And suppose you are submitting your paper in a multiple publishers, one by one, then somebody is asking APA, somebody is asking Chicago format, somebody is asking for a Vernacular, or somebody is asking for IEEE format. So it is very difficult for you to just change these reference style again and again. Better just learn basically some reference management software and use those softwares for your referencing. So Jotaro and Mendeley are, if my personal experience, are good with these two softwares. You may use it in initial stage. You will find it very, bothering one. But once you familiar with these software, they will also help you to reduce your basically plagiarism in your content. The next important tips which I want to give you is related to the figures and tables. The figures and tables which you are using in your research paper or in your chapter or in your thesis, these figures and tables should be in editable form. Never use a pictorial or picture of these figures and basically tables in your content, because sometime what happen when you submit your paper for a reputed publisher, they will send back your paper and ask editable figures and tables. So better, and it also basically create a sustainability, because sometimes what happen, these anti-plagiarism software skip basically figures. So what happens, suppose the content of your table is, you have copied the content of your table from somewhere else. So what will happen if you'll use a figure, if you'll use a picture, that will be skipped by the anti-plagiarism software. But if you'll use a simple table, editable table, then you will be caught out. So unknowingly, suppose you are using a picture and your content is original, but you will be under scan basically. Publisher will think that you are stealing something, you are hiding something. So it is better that always use editable figures and tables in your research work. So question and answer we will take later, and now I am going demonstration of basically one of the software which is called Turnitin. I will show you the settings and I will show you how that software works basically. Siddharth, I am audible? Siddharth.
Audible, sir, audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we will also take
sir, you are
questions and
audible,
answers. Okay, but before that, I want to just give you a demo of this Turnitin, very good anti-plagiarism softwares. So this is a purchased version of my institutions also. When you scan basically any file, called like this is a class name. Because why it is called a class name? Because Turnitin is also using by an institution to manage their class for assignment purpose. For example, you want to check your paper for plagiarism purpose. So what you will do, you have to create this class. Like this is the class which is already created, and this is called a paper plag check class, and this class has some settings. So before scanning a paper, this is basically a few settings related to this class, which is not of our use. I will show the settings which basically you have to analyze while checking your paper. So first of all, if you want to check any content of yours for plag purpose, what you will do, you will click on any class which is mentioned in your software. As here the name of class is a paper plag check, maybe a class name is ABCD, XYZ, anything, the name of class. Only what you have to do, you have to click on this class. So once you will click on this class, what will happen, the another basically windows open, and this windows will basically shows the detail of paper which you are going to scan. So under every class there is an option called a assignment. So what you have to do, you have to click on assignment. Is it visible to all of you, Siddharth?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
And always remember, these softwares are very handy, very easy to use. इसमें कुछ है नहीं दरअसल. Only the important thing is what settings you are choosing. Okay. Anybody who is in academic, they can use it in a minutes or 5 minutes. So if you want to scan any content of yours, you have to click on add assignment button. So it will take time. because software, this is a heavy software. So these are the settings basically. Just wait. Just give me a minute. These are the few settings which I have to do. So now what I am going to do, I am just checking one paper or content for PLAG. So once you will click over here and you will basically create your own class. Basically, I have created a new class which is called ABC. Now there is an option. There are three options you will find over here: edit setting, submit, or delete assignment. So what I am doing, I am clicking on a submit option. When I will click on this submit options, these are the basically few basically options available. Author, non-enrolled student. Non-enrolled student means I am not enrolled in this basically software, but I can check my content basically. So generally what people do, first I will show you, then what should we do while of your content. I'll tell you. So generally what we do, जब हम flag check करते हैं, we will just fill these entries like this always, because we always in hurry basically. We use like this, and these are the options basically, like choose the file you want to upload to Turnitin. These are the three options mentioned over here. Choose from the computer, choose from Dropbox, close from Google Drive. So I am selecting this option, choose from this computer. So for example, this is a paper, role of business incubator and innovations. Just I have copied this content from somewhere for making demo purpose. So now what I have to do, once I select the paper, I have to click on upload button. And when I will click on upload button, it will give you some details about authors, assignment titles, submission titles, file name, file size, page counts, word count, character count. So this will give us a complete information about our file, its formats, its pages, word count, etc., etc. Once we check this information, I have to click on a confirm button. Then again, I have to click on go to assignment inbox. Now what will happen, now this software started its works, it starts scanning the content all over the web pages, repositories, student papers. And after some time, one number will be reflect over here. That number is related to that how much flag this particular paper has basically. If you'll see this, basically these are some headings are over here. It is showing the name of paper, the name of author. It is showing a title. Similarity report will be generated over here. If you'll see similarity, grade is for if you are managing it for student assignment, then faculty can also manage grade. It is a original file. From here you can basically download your original file which you uploaded for flag checking, and this is the ID of this particular uploading, basically paper uploading, which play a very vital role when you will be in a trouble basically. And this is the date in which you have uploaded your content. So when I will click on this similarity, so it will show now what does it mean? It means this file has 75% plagiarism. The 75% content is plagged, which is being copied by some other resources. So if you talk about the free anti-plagiarism websites, basically they mostly provide this much detail, a percentage of plag in your content. But as this is a purchased version, so if I will click on this 75%, one new window will be open, and this new windows, there are so many options available which will basically provide you detailed information about a flag in this particular file basically. So we need to wait because this is a heavy software. So this is a file, and if you scroll this file, these are the areas where flag is reflecting, and these numberings are indicating the sources basically. So there are different sources. Source number 2 is different from source number 4. So these are the sources which are showing from where this content is being copied by author basically. So it is okay. You basically you will know that where is a flag, and then you will start your own strategy to remove a flag or improve your content. But a software is all very smart. This software is smart software. If you will click over here, this is an option, all sources. If you will click over here, so it will show sources of basically from where this basically content being copied. So as you are seeing, the internet source, ResearchGate, internet source. So these are the various sources from where the content is being copied. If you will click basically, if you want to know about much detail, if you want to know, you will click over here. It will show a detail that in this particular internet source where these lines are being written basically. So because it will take consume lot of bandwidth, so I will not click over here. If I will click over here, livewisely.net, so it will indicate where these lines are mentioned, like here, no, where these lines are just about design affordable product. So these lines are basically mentioned already in this web page, which is called livewisely.net. So like this, it gives you a facility to see your flag report in depth basically. So like this, you can find different sources where flags comes in your content. Another important thing is basically this is called a download. So if you want to download this file, you have to click over here, and there are three basically options. There are three options available over here: current view, digital receipt, and original submitted file. If you want to download as original submitted file, then you have to click over here. If you want to click, if you want to download a file which has a content and showing a detailed description of plagiarism, then you have to click on this current view. If you want to download the receipt, detail about this file, like this. Just wait. It will take time. So what I will do, this is the receipt. This is the receipt, and it will give you a complete detail about your content, submission, author, assignment name, file site, etc. And submission ID is one of the important things. Now, important thing about this software is, suppose I close this window and I don't delete this file from here, then automatically this file will be stored in a Turnitin repository. And for example, you have given me your file to check a flag, and I have forgotten to delete it over here. And when you will submit your paper to a publisher, and you, so what will happen? It will show the entire content. Here it is showing a 75%. It means 25% content is original. But if I will not remove this file from here, then someone else will check this file. It will show a 100% plagiarism in this particular file. So always remember, once you check the file, you need to delete it from a repository. So what I will do, I will delete it from here. It is taking time. Okay, leave it. It will take time. Now, once you downloaded your file, which you have checked through this Turnitin, so at last it will also show a detail about file scanning details, and importantly, which I want to show you, here if you will see exclude match 14 words, means this software has checked all the resources where the content is basically copied, and the number of words are above 40. If the number of words are about less than 14, then it will not consider for your flag. So what basically smart basically a researcher do, they increases this limit and try to reduce their flag. There are also options like exclude quotes and exclude bibliography. So you can, according to your convenience and requirement, you can also on or off these settings. I will show you where these settings are. And if you see this flag report, it will show the different basically sources. Total similarity index is 75%, and out of 75%, 72% content is being copied from the web pages, means copied from some websites. And if you talk about the 12% content, it is being copied from some publications, from some research papers or theses of book chapters, and 35% content is from student paper, means this is an unpublished work and stored somewhere in this repository of a Turnitin. So these are this is the breakup of this 75% similarity. Okay. Now, is it clear to all of you? Siddharth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will, sorry, I'm taking time. I will take more 15 minutes, and then we'll go for questions. Okay.
Certainly, sir.
Just wait. Just wait. Now, as I told you, when you one more setting I want to show you over here. So whenever you are basically upload paper, it is very important. Don't give a name like this. This create problems when your content stored in a Turnitin repository. So whenever you basically upload your paper for scanning purpose, you must give a proper name to your file. Basically, your author name should be proper. Basically, it should not be ABCD and all. And paper's name is innovation, for example. So this information should not be randomly. It should be a accurate information. If your paper stuck in Turnitin repository and you have mentioned ABCD, last time XYZ, submission title 1, 2, 3, then you will be in trouble. You have to justify that it is your paper. So better give accurate information while submitting your paper in Turnitin or any purchased software. So now I will also show you a few important things. Again, I am uploading it. Now this paper is reflecting over here, and I will click over here. Just wait, it will take time. If you are a researcher, or if you are a basically going to submit your thesis, so in thesis basically you have to download one important report which is called a text only report. This report is over here, text only report. You will click over here in this report. This text only report will be reflect like this, and you have to download this report, get signed by your supervisor or your mentor, and then submit to your respective university or institution for the purpose of plagiarism report for PhD thesis. So sometime what happen, you use but you don't know how to basically find a originality report for submission purpose basically. So this is also important tips related to the Turnitin. As I told you, these softwares are very easy to use. Only things is basically okay, just wait, I will show you some settings also. Just wait. Edit, there is an option called assignment setting. So you will click over here. So this is the name of a few basic details, and it says like this: allow only file type that Turnitin can check for similarity. Allow any file type. So obviously, if this is a Turnitin software, so I will click on first option. Then these are the settings basically. One important setting is exclude bibliographic material from similarity index for all paper in this assignment. Assignment means paper, anything which you are uploading for paper checking. So you can check yes option or no option. Here I have checked yes option, means it will not check a references basically. Exclude quote material from a similarity index for all paper in this assignment. I have clicked over in no. It will check a quote also for plagiarism purpose. This is a very important set source exclusion threshold. So here I have mentioned 14, and it is the world standards. If you'll increase, then it means you are manipulating your plagiarism report. And another important thing is over here, setting is here, submit paper to repository. If I have selected this option, then I will be in trouble. So what I have done, I have make it in no repository. So these are the few settings basically which you have to check before uploading your paper for any kind of plagiarism checking of your content. And you know, the basically option will remain same. Maybe the method will be different, but option will remain same. So you should be very careful about all these options. Now, now I want to take some cases basically. Just wait. So I have mentioned over here, 2 cases over here. This is a case number 1. Siddharth, is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Yes. So it is a classic case because I am also editor of a few books of Taylor and Francis and Nova Publications, etc. I have received one paper from an author and it was showing a 90% similarity index. And the interesting part was the similarity was from a single source. And if you will see the similarity report, it will show similarity index, internet source very less 3%, publication 1%, and 90% student paper. Now you are listening me since last 1 hour. Can you have any idea why this similarity report is like this? What happened to this author? And actually this author is a very ethical author. His work is novel. His work is original. Even then it is showing 90% similarity. So where is the problem? Can anybody explain? If you understand.
Yes, sir. Okay, mom. Okay.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it is saved on Turnitin Classroom. I think that, sir.
Very good. So this is a very, this become a very severe problem for a author, because once this paper goes to a Turnitin repository and you are not having a administrative access, then your entire hard work goes vain basically. So as I told you, whenever you check your paper in Turnitin or any purchase software, you must delete it basically immediately. If you forget it and it is stored in a Turnitin repository, then it will be a problem. So how I came to know that it is this author is a genuine? Because I know, I have an experience that student paper means it is an unpublished work. It is not being published, means the student has not copied it from, the author has not copied it from some sources. It is his own basically content. Third important thing is the internet sources are very less, only 3%, means the content is also not being copied from internet. Publication sources are also very less. So these are the ways when you work as an editor, when you are organizing a conference. So sometimes, because all are not technically expert, by mistakes they commit such type of basically submissions. So in that case, you have to guide your students, you have to guide your research scholars that how they can overcome from this problem. So the solution of this problem is you have to request the administrator of that Turnitin where this report is being checked, and you have to provide a submission ID to that administrator. That administrator will send mail to Turnitin, and they will take a week, and then they will remove your paper from their repository. Then only it will show you a 4% flag. Actually, in this paper, only 4% flag. And right now it is showing a 90% flag, 91% flag. Got it? So this is the way by which you can basically overcome from this issue. This is also a classic case, and this is a paper of a very renowned author, and he was writing a book chapter for our book. And when one of my colleagues rejected his paper by seeing a similarity index, and it was showing a similarity index of 98%, sometimes 94%. If you see this classic report, it's showing that on 10th of just let me check. On 10th of August, the similarity was 14%. If you'll see the just look at this arrow, the similarity was 10%. And on 13th of August, the similarity was increases 89%. On 14th of August, the similarity was increases 94%, and in 15th of August, the similarity was 100%. Can anybody explain what is happening like this? क्यों हो रहा है ऐसा? And this is a most critical case. Why it is critical case? Because what author is doing actually, he is checking his content, saving that file, again uploading, try to basically refine his existing file, then uploading again, checking the flag. There he's seeing something different. Because it is his own file, and he's again uploading it. So multiple version he is uploading, multiple paper IDs are creating. And the situation came when we check his paper, it was showing 100% match. So we send him a mail that your content is showing 100% match. That fellow got shocked. He said us, because he was not aware about all these technicality. He said, I am working on this paper since last 6 months, and everything is my own. And how can you say that it is 100% matching? Then we explained him the cause and reasons. And the problems come because he was working abroad in some university, and he was using their username and login ID of Turnitin for checking the papers. But now this paper is stored in a Turnitin. How? He is not having a rights. And the another problem he faces, because these are the multiple IDs, paper IDs. Third mistake he did while checking the paper, he was using a class's name, assignment like names like SD, FG, FD, FFD, FST. Means no basically standardized naming convention are followed over here. Multiple files are being uploaded over here, and then the data was mistakenly stored in a Turnitin repository. So this we took at least 4 months to resolve these issues of that particular author. He sent mail to that previous institution where he was working 15 years back, then requested them that my paper was accepted, but it will be not published if you will not remove it from your Turnitin repository. So these are the classical cases. And there are cases where a student checked, supervisor of student checked the thesis and stored it in a Turnitin repository. Then you can well understand what happened. It took a lot of days to remove it from a repository. So these are basically softwares are helpful for us, but if we'll not use these software wisely, then we will be in a trouble. So my advice will be, though some of you will have a much better understanding of these softwares or much more experience than me, but whatever experience I have shared with you. And I hope that few of the points will also help you in your future endeavor. Now, if you are having any question, you may ask me. I will try to answer. Otherwise, I will respond you through my mail. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I'll now invite our participants. If they are having any question, they can unmute themselves and ask their questions, or alternatively, they can put their questions in the chat box also, and I'll be taking forward their questions. So any of our participant, they can unmute themselves. I can see Anant Sharma wants to ask a question. Anant, if you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, I am audible.
Yes, you are audible,
Yes,
Anant.
sir. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Sir, my
morning.
name is Anant Kumar Sharma. I am research scholar in Department of Management Science. My question is, when we talk about level of similarities, I want to
Yes.
know case of penalties on plagiarism among the students pursuing higher education at the master and research program as well as research scholars of higher education institutions such as revised script या debarred from submitting the revised script.
So basically, UGC has already set up a guidelines in, I can share those files where it is clearly mentions level of similarity and punishment related to those similarity. But in general, if we say, I will expand this, your question. If you are submitting your research paper for publication, then international standards are the plagiarism should be up to 10% or below 10%. If you are submitting your chapter for any international or good reputed publisher for publication purpose, then the flag should be acceptable by 12 to 15%. It varies publisher to publisher. If you talk about the thesis part, different universities having a different guidelines basically, but I have seen that about 25% flag is acceptable in thesis submission, or some university prefer below or up to 20% plagiarism. They have also a condition that the flag should not be from a single source up to 5%. If you talk about the penalizations, it totally depend upon institutions to institutions, and every institution can make their own ethical guidelines or plagiarism guidelines for penalizing. But my own basically submission is penalization is not a mechanism. Education is a better as a mechanism. You have to teach your student, you have to make them aware what are the consequences, why flag free content is important. That is very important, because student basically he's कहते हैं ना, स्टूडेंट हर तरह से मारा हुआ होता है, सुपरवाइजर भी उसको ही डांट रहा होता है, उसका फैकल्टी भी डांट रहा होता है, घर वालों से भी. सो हमें वी शुड नॉट पेनलाइज, we should all I think we should try to support him, try to, and if he caught in such act, even then I have to, my suggestion will be, we have to guide them, we have to ensure that he should not repeat such mistake again. Okay, even basically international there are certain international organizations are also, they are also having the same basically objective basically. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
A participant, Mohan Kumar, is asking in the chat room that, sir, any meaning of the colors in the flag report?
There is a color coding, basically different Turnitin have their own color coding also. Like about 75%, then they will use a red color, but there is not a standardized color coding which I can mention over here. But different software have their, Orkut have their own color coding, and I can say like red means very high flag, above 75% flag. Yellow means different, but I have not seen any standardized coding for this plagiarism basically.
Thank you, sir. Next,
Hello.
I can see a participant, Reet Kumar Reet, who has raised his hand. Reet, if you can go ahead with your question.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
sir. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
I want to, whenever I want to extend my research work in another research paper, then how to avoid self-plagiarism?
The best part is whenever you are, it is also a fact that in research part paper, there are different parts, basically introduction, review of literature, research methodology, discussion, findings, etc. So whenever you write a review of literature or introduction part, it is better try to use your own words, own language, your own thoughts in your research paper. When if you will not basically consider the same basically idea from someone else and then try to put it in your own paper by your own ways, then there are less chances of a plagiarism. One more important part, if you are having a flag, certainly you will have a flag. हम कोई मार्क्स से तो आए नहीं है कि हम जो है सब परफेक्ट हों. If there is a flag in your research paper, so my advice will be try to remove it from a literature review or introduction part, because in methodology or in analysis part there are words, technical words, which you cannot substitute at all. So try to remove a flag from literature review, from introduction, and if there is some flag in your basically analysis, for example, you are doing a regression analysis and you are writing about a multicollinearity or linearity, heterogeneity, etc., or normality, there are certain terms which are being repeatedly used by a researcher. Certainly it will show a flag, and if you try to substitute those words, the entire meaning will be changed. So this may be a strategy, and there is no set standardized strategy to remove avoid plagiarism from a basically paper, any research work. There will be a flag.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
One
sir.
of our participant, Gunakala Sridhara Rao, is asking that in mathematics, symbols and notations are under plagiarism. How we could avoid such problem or issues? And this is a similar question, sir, because I was once writing a paper on blockchain, and the paper had many technical terms which I couldn't substitute. And when I sent my paper to plagiarism, it had somewhat higher plagiarism count. So my question is also related to this, sir. Sir, like when we are writing such papers, how can we avoid plagiarism, sir?
You see, it is a very valid question you have raised. If you are using a purchased version of anti-plagiarism software for checking, suppose I am an editor and I am aware about this basically a phenomena or this issue. So what I will do, I will add these mathematical symbols in an exclusion list. So when I will check your paper, basically, so those symbols will not come under the scan of plagiarism, basically. So, but you as a researcher, if you are talking, if you will check, certainly it will show basically flag in those symbols. But if you, again, I will say, if you are using a purchase version, then you have an option. You can exclude those symbols from your content, basically. You have a right, basically. You can exclude it. Like bibliography, you can exclude. Similarly, you can also exclude these symbols.
Thank you, sir. Supriya Singh in the chat box is asking, what is the ratio of in-text citation and plagiarism ASM report?
I'm not getting it. Can you repeat it?
Supriya ma'am, if I'm audible to you, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
What exactly you want to No.
Good morning, sir. It's me,
Good
Supriya
morning.
Singh, research scholar from Department of Management Sciences, MGCUB. Sir, my question is very simple. Sir, what is the ratio of in-text citation and plagiarism report? What is the relationship between both?
In-text citation means I'm not getting you. What is it?
Citations, sir, citations, which we cite in our paper.
Okay. So basically, there are, though I am not clear about this question, but my understanding says what you do when you cite someone and you are citing exact word of a author, then you put quotes on that.
Okay.
In that case, though there are not set standards how many quotes you can mention in a single paper, but it is advisable that the quoted material should be minimal, basically. Second important thing, citation and referencing. As I mentioned in my presentation also, when you cite something and give its reference, and if you copied reference from some another paper, so there may be a probability that it will show basically a plagiarism in that reference also. So in that case, as I told you, being a research scholar, it is very important for us that we should have a basic understanding of some reference management softwares, which we can use like Mendeley and Zotero, which we can use for referencing purpose in our paper. If we'll use these referencing management tools, then certainly these issues related to the referencing plagiarisms may be basically tackled and will be tackled, certainly.
Okay, thank you.
And
thank you.
Supriya, maybe I am not able to reply you in a proper way. What you can do, you can write a detailed mail to me. What
Okay, sir, thank
exactly
you.
problem you are facing and
Okay.
what exactly you want from me, I will try to resolve it. 100%.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We had to end this session on 11 a.m., but we have actually overshoot it because your session was highly informative, sir. And I'll take this opportunity to thank you for this session. And obviously, sir, plagiarism is something which all the participants and academicians care about. And I really hope that this session must have added value to our participants. I'll also like to thank our respected Dean, Professor Pavnesh Kumar, who is also the course coordinator of this program, and to all the participants for their involvement, which made this session an interactive one. With these words, on the behalf of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, School of Commerce and Management Sciences, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to all the academicians and research scholars who have joined us today. We'll be sharing this PPT with our participants soon. And we'll again join today at 5:50 p.m. for the scheduled session on redundant publications, duplicate and overlapping publications. With your due permission now, Ravindra sir, we can bring this
thank
session
you very
to a
much
close.
for listening patiently, and hope this session will be useful for you in your future endeavor.
Siddharth,
Thank you
my
very much.
question is still there. If you
Naveen,
give
you can
permission
ask your
me,
question.
Yes, please go ahead. Please, Siddharth, please allow.
sir, that's why I asked Siddharth, sir, please allow me to ask my question because I left. So, sir, my question is that suppose I am working on MSME sector, and I have to quote that MSME data, and I have to write that data on two bases. First in my research paper, second in my thesis. So how can I remove the plagiarism in that? Because the data is published by the Ministry of or certain banks or RBI or MSME ministry. So I cannot change the data. So in that case, how can I remove the plagiarism or reduce the plagiarism?
Naveen, I understand your question. There are 2 or 3 tips basically. When you are using a published data from any government agency, what you can do, maybe a very little flag will become. It is a fact basically. I will tell you 2 or 3 strategies. So what you can do, just take that data and give a reference on the bottom of that table. That from your
on the bottom of this.
Second important thing is sometime, though it is not a good practice, but you can try, because it is your own basically research, and you are extracting a government agency data from the government agencies. You can basically convert that table. For example, as I told you, you can convert that table into picture. So if you will check the flag, no, so maybe a flag will not come in that particular table. But again, a renowned publisher will not accept it as a table which is not editable, basically. So best strategy is just give a reference and manage a little bit flag, basically.
Okay,
Stay
sir.
and
Thank you.
better strategy, basically.
Basically, sir, I want to just compare the data of the two states. One
Okay.
state is growing in using this data, and another state is doing this data. So I have to compare those data, and on the basis of the comparison, I have to write my in my research paper or in my thesis ki this is the difference between that. So how can I just
Naveen, you see, when we talk about numbers, no,
yes,
if
sir.
the numbers are exactly identical and represented in the same manner and again, then it will show in a plagiarism. If you'll change
Okay.
the representation style of those numbers, identical numbers, then
Okay,
there
sir.
is a possibility that it will not reflect a flag in your paper, basically. Okay,
Okay.
so you have to
And
work simultaneously many strategies. First, try to use different styles of data representations. Secondly, try to give not try, basically you have to give reference from where you have extracted the data. These two strategy will save you in your research paper as well as in your thesis, and it is justifiable. Okay.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you,
if you
sir.
are having any more doubt, just write to me. I will reply it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Definitely, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. And now, sir, with your due permission, we can bring this session to a close.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.